So I recently saw in the news that a company called TripActions fired a bunch of employees over a Zoom call. I mean, that's not a good look at all. First off, TripActions is a travel management company for business and business travelers. Okay, so that makes sense why they're hurting so bad. I mean, there's almost no business travel happening right now because of the coronavirus pandemic. So I get it. Their revenues are way, way down, but I don't think a Zoom call probably would be the best way to fire people. So let's take a look at what happened. On Tuesday morning, around 100 TripActions customer support and customer service team members dialed into a Zoom call. Many joined the call happily smiling, expecting another team meeting or bonding activity amid the new work from home culture. Instead, according to the people on the call Protocol spoke with, their boss launched into a spiel about the economy and coronavirus. Then she announced that everyone on the call was being laid off. People were crying and people were panicking, said one employee who was abruptly let go on the video conference. It was like 100 different videos of just chaos. Employees who joined the calls late were confused about what was happening and whether they just lost their job. In the customer support chat, administrators had muted all employee videos, silencing any cries or expressions of anger at the layoffs. Workers surreally watched as everyone realized what was happening and began processing in their separate Zoom squares, some soundlessly crying. I mean, wow, that's just not a good way to do this, guys. There's a friend of mine actually had something very similar happen to her at her job, and so I feel like this is probably happening throughout the country. We get it. There's a lot of things that are bad right now with the economy. So businesses, their revenues are way down, so they have to reduce their workforce to stay solvent. So we get that. But this is a super disrespectful thing to do to your employees. And I'm just like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. It's just really bad, not only for the employees who are receiving this news. I mean, you can see in that article people talking about, crying, on the webcam, but it's also really bad for the company because there's something in psychology called the peak end theory. The peak end theory, or the peak end rule, is a psychological heuristic in which people judge an experience largely based on how they felt at its peak, so at its most intense point, and at its end, rather than based on the total sum or average of every moment of the experience. If you look at an experience from start to finish, you won't really remember the start that much. In the middle, you'll remember the peak times, the highs, the lows, the intense moments, and then you'll remember the end, the feeling that you had when that experience ended. So what just happened here, combines two of those. It combines a peak, which is a really bad negative being fired, that's like a really intense moment, an intense experience, and then it combines it with the end. This is also the end, the last interaction that you'll have with your company. So if that happened to me, I'd probably have a real emotional reaction. So I've just been fired in a really disrespectful way. I'm not going to feel good about the company. I'm not going to talk good about the company. This is all I'm going to remember, because even if the times were good throughout, I'm just going to remember how they treated me in the end, which is essentially like a number, not like a human being. And so if I were ever to be offered a return job, if I were to think about if I wanted to work there again, I'd probably think, I might want to think twice about that, because it doesn't look like they value me there very much. And that's something companies should really think about during this time period, because yes, they're going to have to reduce their workforce. But my best guess is that at some point, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, the economy will bounce back. And so you're going to probably want to expand your company at that point, and you're going to need more people to work there. But then this has caused a situation where there's going to be a lot of people talking bad about your company, either former employees not wanting to come back and work for you because of the way they were treated, or because of the age of social media, them talking about this online, saying, wow, this is how they fired me. You might want to think twice about working for them. And so you're not going to be able to get good talent. And the thing is, it's so simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's so simple to do this well and to make people feel like they're human beings. So I've kind of thought about a way to make this way, way better. I mean, there's no reason that this should be the way to handle it. And it starts, number one, with communication from the top. I think the CEO should communicate this information. And what they should communicate is laying out the current financial situation from the company, be super transparent about what's going on. People aren't stupid, so just lay out, hey, revenues are down. We have to cut some people. And communicate when this decision will be made. Is it going to be made today? Is it going to be made a month from now? When will these cuts happen? and also talk about how the decision is going to be made. So I actually saw a real life example of this happening, which made me super happy. The example I want to share with you is from Airbnb. So as you can imagine with Airbnb, their main business is rentals, renting out properties or experiences when people travel on vacation. So people aren't really doing that right now because of the coronavirus pandemic. So you can imagine that their revenue is way, way, way down, and they've had to dramatically reduce their workforce. So let's go into, the things they did well here. So first off, there was a company-wide message sent out from the CEO. And in this letter, he's super transparent about the financial situation of the company. He writes, "Let me start with how we arrived at this decision. We are collectively living through the most harrowing crisis of our lifetime. And as it began to unfold, global travel came to a standstill. Airbnb's business has been hit hard, with revenue this year forecast to be less than half of what we earned in 2019. Because of this, we need to make more fundamental changes to Airbnb by reducing the size of our workforce around a more focused business strategy." Boom, super, super clear. Revenues are way down. They're going to be half of what they were last year. So we can't continue to operate in the same way. So we need to make some changes to stay in business. And then he goes on to communicate when this will happen. He writes, "I want to provide clarity to all of you as soon as possible. We have employees in 24 countries, and the time it will take to provide clarity will be based on local laws and practices. Some countries require notification about employment to be received in a very specific way. While our process may differ by country, we have tried to be thoughtful in planning for every employee. In the US and Canada, I can provide immediate clarity. Within the next few hours, those of you leaving Airbnb will receive a calendar invite to a departure meeting with a senior leader in your department. It was important to us that whenever we legally could, people were informed in a personal, one-on-one conversation. The final working day for departing employees based in the US and Canada will be Monday, May 11th. We felt that Monday would give people time to begin taking steps and say goodbye. We understand and respect how important this is." I mean, this is how you treat people like human beings. You're telling them exactly when things will happen. You're understanding that this is not only a business decision, but it's very personal as well. Some of these people you've worked with a really long time. We want you to give you the opportunity to say goodbye to these people. When this will happen, we're going to try to communicate this on a one-on-one basis if the law allows for that. And on top of that, he's also transparent about how these decisions are made. So he continues to write, "Our process started with creating a more focused business strategy built on a sustainable cost model. We assessed how each team mapped to our new strategy, and we determined the size and shape of each team going forward. Then we did a comprehensive review of each team member and made decisions based on critical skills and how well those skills matched our future business needs." So here you really help people understand why they were let go, why some people got to stay, why some people got to leave. And for that provides a lot of closure. It's not, like, oh, I don't know did I do something wrong? Was it something I said? Was it my boss? You're just telling them, hey, this is how we're doing it. We're basing it on this business strategy. And if you fit into this picture, great. If you don't, unfortunately, we have to move on in order to do the right thing for this company. And then finally, he talks about expectations. He talks about the severance package. He writes, "Employees in the U.S. will receive 14 weeks of base pay plus 1 additional week for every year at Airbnb. Tenured will be rounded to the nearest year. For example, if someone has been on Airbnb for 3 years and 7 months, they will get an additional 4 weeks of salary or 18 weeks of total pay. Outside the U.S., all employees will receive at least 14 weeks of pay plus tenure increases consistent with their country-specific practices." So I was reading this and I was like, wow, I don't even work at Airbnb. But I think I legitimately teared up when I was reading this letter because this guy, the CEO here, realizes how important the employees are to his company, and then the company would be nothing without the employees, which is true of like any company. So I know that this isn't an easy thing to do, but it's so simple to make people feel like human beings, and they'll remember that for a long time. And I think, in this time period, it's important to remember that, companies are run by human beings, so let's treat each other like human beings. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please support independent media by liking and subscribing. My name is James Lee, and I'll see you next time.